Okay, quick note. I want to make sure we're recording so anybody who listens back hears this part. I am doing a virtual conference this week. So this is the only day we're going to have class. I will be available via email. So if you run into questions and you want to email them to me, you can do that. You can also post questions in the discussion board in e-learning. And if you do that, then when I give you your answer, everybody will be able to see it or get the link to it. Depending on how short or long your question is, I might just do sort of a text answer back to you, or I might do like a written solution and upload it, or I might do a short video and send it to YouTube and then post the link. So depending on your question, I'll answer it in a variety of ways, but you can do that. And you can do that even if I'm not doing a virtual conference, but I won't be available necessarily during class hours. So I'll make sure that I'm checking all of those places to answer your questions as they come up throughout the week. So today, let's get as many questions answered as you guys have. What's giving you troubles? Find our schedule. We are in week 6. I can't believe it. So the new stuff for this week is probably maybe even less problematic than what we had last week in chapters 3 and 4. But we're going to start with polynomials, scientific notation, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So I don't think we have a horrible week in terms of super messy stuff. Some of the dividing stuff might be a little bit more difficult, but that's typical of every section that we do. Usually they get a little bit more difficult as we move throughout the chapter. So let me think. Yeah, I think that's good. In terms of things due this week, other than homework, your next test, chapter 4, is due on Sunday. So that's due on the 7th, and then the homework for the chapter 4 stuff is due, the recommended due date is the 4th, which is yesterday. Oh, I got my days mixed up. The 7th is Thursday. Wait, no, today's, oh my gosh. Do you want to just make it Sunday? Let's do that to make it simpler. So test number 3, which is chapter 4, the due date was Wednesday. I'm going to switch that due date to Sunday. Okay, I'm not going to switch other due dates along with it, but I'm going to switch this one to Sunday just so you have a little bit more time to get to it. You're welcome. So test number 3, I'll type that in the chat for everyone. Test number 3 over chapter 4 will be due on Sunday, which is to get my dates right. Today is the 5th, yesterday is the 4th, so the 11th. Okay, so I will make that change in Alta. You should see that later this afternoon. But do you have questions that you want to ask me about anything coming up? We were working on systems of equations and matrices last time. The new material is going to be about adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing polynomials. I don't want to take your time with new stuff until you've asked all the questions you need to ask over old stuff. So make sure you shout out your answers or type them in the chat. Do you guys want to just run this class day like office hours and work on things and shout out if you run into questions? Do you want to go back to sleep? Dakota said yes to that. And Mateo said good. Corin said good. Okay. Kellen said good. Okay. So 4 of you voted for that. Corin voted for sleep. Always a good choice. All right. So I'm going to stay here. I'm actually going to run down to my car because I have a nice cold Diet Coke in it, and I'm going to grab that. But I will be right here. You will probably see me working on stuff. Just give a shout out, type in chat, or better yet, in case I'm not looking right at the screen, turn your mic on and say help or something similar, and I will come to your assistance. Sound good? Okay. So given that it's going to get real quiet here, until someone asks a question, I'm going to pause recording. So you could solve the system algebraically and see if you came up with a solution, or you can kind of look at the equation. So can you tell me what the system is? Because you can actually do this without solving too.
Okay, so it's 7x minus 9y.
7x minus 9y.
Equals -5.
Okay, and I'm just typing these in chat so I have them for my brain.
Okay, and then the bottom one is 8x, minus 2y equals 4.
Okay, so if we were going to graph these and figure out that the system was inconsistent, when that happens for 2 equations and 2 variables is when the lines are parallel.
Okay.
And remember, parallel lines had the same slope. So without figuring out exactly what the slope is for those 2 lines, are those going to be parallel?
I don't, hang on, let me look. Just like where the numbers are at on Desmond's.
Yeah, just kind of look at the numbers and see if you can decide
like
whether or not those lines are going to be parallel.
I would say that they would be.
Okay, why do you think they're parallel?
Because -5 is on the opposite end of +4. But then that's all the numbers that I looked at. So then I would have to determine where the other numbers were.
Right. So
Yeah.
if we think about how we figure out the slope, remember one way to do it is to find 2 points on the line, but they don't want us to do that. They don't actually want us to graph this. But
Right.
we could do a little bit of algebra. And I'm going to again type in chat. On that first equation, we would have -9y equals -7x minus 5.
Yes.
Right? And then if I solve for y, I would get y equals 7/9 x plus 5/9. Agreed?
Yeah.
So the slope of that line is 7/9. Remember, the slope was the coefficient of x once you solve for y. Now, our other equation was, let me scroll back up here, 8x minus 2y equals 4. Is the slope of that line going to be 7/9?
No, it's going to be.
So they're definitely not parallel lines.
Right, so it's inconsistent.
So they're not parallel, which means that they cross somewhere, so the system is consistent.
It is consistent?
It is consistent. Inconsistent would be parallel lines.
Oh, I see. Okay. I was reading it wrong because on my thing it said I clicked inconsistent, but then I thought it was saying that the correct answer was inconsistent. So I was all confused. But it is consistent.
Okay, so parallel lines means inconsistent.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so that's kind of what they wanted you to do. They wanted you to figure out that the slopes were different, and if the slopes are different, then they have to cross somewhere without going and figuring out where that was.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
It's
go ahead and tell me what it is.
3x plus 2y equals 2.
Okay, and then your second equation?
6x plus 5y equals 8.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll share my whiteboard.
Okay.
Because this is going to be probably a little too much to type in the chat. Okay, so 3x plus 2y equals 2, and 6x plus 5y equals 8. Now, you suggested we multiplied by -2.
Correct.
Okay, so that would work for this problem, but it won't always work. So I think you noticed that if you multiplied the top equation by -2, that would give you -6x.
Correct, yeah.
Right? Yeah, so that is what you want to do here.
Okay.
So multiply that top one by -2, and you'd get -6x minus 4y equals -4. And then you're going to add that to 6x plus 5y equals 8. And then
so
these guys add up to 0, so they go away.
Okay.
And then
so does it all depend on the coefficient of the one you are needing to eliminate? So since that problem, we needed to eliminate the x's, we needed to determine the coefficient from the x, not the y.
Right. I mean, we actually could have done this by eliminating the y's first. It just would have been more difficult.
Okay.
So we want to be kind of lazy and go the easiest way we can.
Okay.
So eliminating x let us solve for y, and then we would substitute back in 3x plus 2 times 4 equals 2. So 3x plus 8 equals 2. And subtract 8. So 3x is -6, and x is -2. So -2, 4 would be my solution.
Okay.
And that means that one is consistent because there is a solution.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Notice if you wanted to, you could have eliminated the y's. You just maybe would have like multiplied, let's see, you could multiply the top equation by 5 and the bottom equation by -2. And that would let you eliminate the y's and solve for x.
All right.
But, why would you do extra work, right?
Right, I know, but I think this is what they tried to get me to do in high school last year, my senior year, and I was so confused on this part. I was like, well, I don't understand it. But then if we just do the x's, it would make it make more sense.
If you always want to eliminate the x's, that's okay. You could do that.
All right.
It would work. It might make some of your work more difficult, but it would be okay. So for example, here, let me put one more problem up here. If I had 6x plus y equals 10 and 5x minus 3y equals -7. So this problem is harder if we try to eliminate x first. It doesn't mean we can't do it. It's just that it's going to be simpler if we eliminate the y's first. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're going to have a little bit less work if we start by eliminating y's. But we don't have to. We could say, okay, well, I've got a 6 and a 5. And if I multiply this one by 5 and this one by -6, I could do this problem. 30x plus 5y equals 50, and -30x plus 15y, no, not 15y, 18y equals -6 times -7, 42. So 23y equals 92. And not only was it extra work, but the numbers aren't so pretty. However, 92 over 23 is 4. So it's actually not bad. And then I would go back and substitute 6x plus 4 equals 10. So 6x equals 6 and x is 1. And 1, 4 is my solution. But that was a little bit longer way to do that problem, right?
Right. So that's just how you do it if you wanted to find out the y first.
Right. And then if you wanted to find out the y first, you would always try to get rid of the x. But
Okay.
you don't have to try to always get rid of the same variable first. You can pick whichever one is easier. So the alternate solution that should lead us to the same answer would have been to take that top equation and multiply it by 3 to get 18x plus 3y equals 10. And then my next equation, 5x minus 3y is -7. And add those together. Oops, what did I do? I didn't multiply my 10 by 3, did I? That should be a 30. Now I have 23x, oops, didn't undo there, 30.
No, I looked up and I was like, wait, didn't that just say 30?
Yeah, I think I accidentally hit the undo button. So 23x equals 23 and x is 1. And then I would substitute that in. 6 times 1 plus y equals 10. So y equals 4.
Okay.
So they're both equivalent solutions, and either one is fine. I think the second one is slightly simpler than the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So you could go either way on those.
Okay.